Davis Mills and Nick Caley, the new bromance, volume 2. What's it going to look like? Is it going to happen? Talk about it live in the locker room. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the locker room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it.
Do it live.
Hey. Locker room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too. Landlocked, got the game in the headlock. Localize every time, can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top 2 and we not too plugged in.
Davis Mills back on the field. What could go wrong? It is the locker room, number one source for Texans digital content. This video is brought to you by the greatness that is Sleeper. Shout out to Sleeper. Everything they do, best sports app in the game, best daily fantasy app in the game. We will play one this week. We just don't know, or they haven't officially put up the higher or lower numbers because they don't know who the quarterback's going to be. I think we probably have a pretty good idea of who it's going to be. If you want to get in the game at Sleeper, $20 free entry, no deposit needed. Just download the app, use it as your scoring app, use it as a resource to make games even more fun. And if you want to double dip, you can get a 100% match up to $100. Use that promo code LOCKER. Speaking of double dipping, it looks like we're probably going to get Davis Mills and Nick Caley, the bromance of all bromances, volume 2 on Sunday. Now, let me explain this. It is early in the week when it comes to practice and everything going on with the Texans.
We in here talking about practice.
But with no CJ Stroud on the field today, that means that he's going to have to practice tomorrow and the next day. So at the very least, in about 13 hours, if CJ Stroud is not practicing, we will know that he's not playing, because in order to clear concussion protocol, you have to practice twice. It's the same thing with Jalen Petrie. Titus Howard was on the practice field today. So if he's back out there, I think he clears protocol. We'll be able to talk to him in the locker room. But you will have an idea tomorrow in 13 hours if CJ Stroud is or is not going to be able to go. And the last time he had a concussion, he missed a couple games. He had a 3-week gap between games. This time it won't be quite 3 weeks, assuming that he comes back after this game, because they play Thursday against Buffalo. But in that situation, he would have to practice on Monday and Tuesday because there's no practice on Wednesday, based on the way that protocol is laid out. So tomorrow, Monday, going to be very, very important to look at. Now, let's say that they decide to throw him out there on Friday. That would mean he's not going to play, but he would at least just be able to practice Monday and he would be good to go. So that's just kind of how it works. I know protocol is kind of confusing, but that's just a little nugget for you. If he doesn't go, Nick Caley, I said this last week, and I think that it is a absolute. It is clear Nick Caley likes working with Davis Mills. I don't know why, but for some reason he seems to like to work with Davis Mills. And quite frankly, the biggest issue that the Texans had, red zone offense, it looked better with Davis Mills in that fourth quarter. So let's hear Nick Caley and what he likes about Davis Mills and what he saw from him.
Boys, consistency, never too high, never too low, great command, just really steady. I mean, it's exactly what he's been ever, since my exposure around him, and I'm sure well before me here.
Yep, he likes him. Very obvious to see that Nick Caley is a big fan of Davis Mills. He likes what Davis Mills brings to the table. Now, I asked him, because a lot of times when you have your backup in, a lot of time the game plan kind of has to change. Here's what Nick Caley had to say when I asked him, at the line of scrimmage, was Davis Mills, did he have a full bag? How did that look? Here's what Davis Mills' bro had to say.
Evaluate Davis, the pre-snap and all that type of stuff, the freedom to change plays at the line of scrimmage. Is that something that took place on Sunday?
Sure. Yeah, no, he's got great command, total command. And again, just like, I just had mentioned, he's into it. I mean, he's very smart, very hardworking. He prepares, he works at it. He's here early, stays late, watches a lot of tape. So, first class in every way and really cares about the position. So, yeah, I mean, there's nothing holding him back at all from that standpoint.
The question is, what does this look like? Now, I do think there is now a possibility from Nick Caley to build on what they did the other day, because you're going to have the same quarterback in. You might have the same offensive line. And one of the big surprises today, Trent Brown, not on the injury report, which is shocking. Mills was predicted by me with the arm, but Trent Brown was not, which, okay, what do they do there? Do they give him a rest day and let Titus go back to right tackle? Ed Ingram was back in limited capacity. He's got a hurt knee. Do they put him at right guard? Do they put Brown at right tackle, Titus at right guard? Is Jared Patterson still playing at left guard? What are they doing? Who knows? But for some reason, they like to shuffle the offensive line. And Nick Caley believes that it's not only good for the beginning and the immediate, but he also thinks it gets you ready for crazy situations, which is weird, especially with what they pulled last week when they started City So. Here's Nick Caley trying to explain that goofy ass decision that they made, that they came to their senses on 9 plays later.
Yeah, I think just every single week, again, it's a body of work. So, City had put out really good, I would say consistent performances day after day of practice and given an opportunity to go out there and compete. Nothing more, nothing less. We're going to always have an opportunity to compete. I don't think anything's fixed, and that's what practice is for.
That's what practice is for. And I don't understand that. Maybe you're valuing practice a little bit too much. Maybe Allen Iverson has a point.
We're in here talking about practice.
Now, I talk about practice every day. So I don't like to minimize practice. I typically like to maximize practice, and I like to observe practice closer than many, closer than most. But when you get to the point where somehow City So, I can't get his name right. I don't really need to. Shouldn't even still be on the team. But when you get to a point where that guy is starting a game because of what he's doing in practice, maybe you're valuing practice a little bit too much. I don't really understand that mindset. I just do not get it. But I don't get Nick Caley. And I'm not optimistic that him and Davis Mills are going to build on what they did in that fourth quarter. I think the optimism comes from the fact that the Tennessee Titans suck. Their offense sucks. Their defense sucks. They have a laughingstock interim head coach who, even at his best, was a joke. And that's really what you hang your hat on when you talk about this. But it's not. There's not any the offense. Any concerns you had about the offense before, you have even just as much now. And eventually, you're going to get your starting quarterback back, and they're going to have to figure it out with him. I would be absolutely shocked if there's not some significant offensive struggles against the Titans. I still don't trust this offense. I think the performance alone by Davis Mills against the Jags was great, but I'm not sitting here buying the stock and acting like that's something where they're just going to stack games. They had trouble stacking games with CJ Stroud. I don't know that they're going to be able to do it with the backup quarterback on the road, team coming off a bye. I don't care how dog-butted they are. Hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully they win. I think they're going to win. I just don't think they're going to set the world on fire, and I think that the struggles are going to remain. Let's go to the chat.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm.
Evan says this is a must-win game. To get to 5-5, like we've talked about, yeah, you've got to win this game. So, yeah, I'm with you for sure. You've definitely got to win this game, and it's a big opportunity to get really fat and happy with Buffalo coming up too. And you're getting them on a short week at the right time. So you win this game, it gets really interesting. 5-5, especially with all the teams above you and the matchups they have, it's a massive opportunity. We've talked about that. Cam says, have we seen Petrie? Yeah, Petrie's walking, but he hadn't cleared concussion protocol. Again, you have to practice twice. It doesn't matter whether we've seen him or not. You got to practice twice. So if Petrie practices tomorrow, maybe that means he's going to go. CJ, same thing. That's what we're looking at. So there you go. I'm picking the Texans to win the game. I just don't. I'm not buying in on the cakewalk that Cody Stoots is buying. I'm picking them to win the game. I just don't. I'm not buying any cakewalk with this ball club against the Titans. I'm just not buying it. But yeah, I'm definitely picking them to win the ball game. Nick Caley also was talking about the momentum that I previously mentioned. We'll hear what he had to say in a sec. First, though, let's talk about the greatness. CJ Stroud has a Texans debit card, and he's a proud partner of TDECU, much like myself and Cody Stoots. And he has that debit card that gets him 15% off the Texans team shop. You know what he did? He went to tdecu.org/Texans, and he signed up for that debit card with the fresh new logo. And as a result, he now has all the perks that TDECU has to offer. They also have the Cougs card. They have the Bucky's card. They have everything. So go to tdecu.org/Texans. Do what CJ did. Do what Cody Stoots did. Membership required, insured by NCUA. Now let's hear what Caley had to say about this momentum with his brother, Davis Mills. Here is Nick Caley.
Well, I think the second half we played cleaner. We were more efficient. We were able to move the ball forward more consistently. I think the first half was just couldn't really stay out of our own way a little bit. You know, we got into some bad long yardage situations, which always makes it tough. Never could really get into a rhythm, I would say. So I think we were able to put some positive play. Not that the third quarter, there's not many plays in the third quarter either, but you know, being able to just continue to get positive plays, to continue to convert on third down and possession downs, and really just be able to operate our offense. And I thought that it was a testament to our guys really going out and executing. And doing a great job of that. Nothing more, nothing less.
Notice he's got a clean hat this week too. I don't know what that is. I thought he was superstitious. I thought that hat was going to last forever, but he's got a new hat. It's an interesting vibe with Nick Caley. He was trying to kind of be serious today, but you can just tell he likes working with Davis Mills. And I do wonder, like, if CJ takes anything from watching this, like when it comes to the mental reps. I don't know. My concern about CJ Stroud, quite honestly, is I think he's going to be even more hesitant to run now compared to what he was before. And I thought he was too hesitant before. He didn't do a good job getting down. Just like Trevor Lawrence didn't. He didn't do a good job getting down. And I think you can kind of connect that to the previously discussed, previously mentioned, often talked about reluctance for him to use his legs, which goes back a few years. That was one of the biggest complaints at Ohio State. And against Georgia, he finally flipped that switch, and you saw him do it. You saw him do it at times last year too against Kansas City, and you've seen him do it at times this year. I just wonder if the concern about, you know, his reluctance and his hesitation to use that skill that he possesses when you've been concussed twice now in 3 seasons and missed most likely 4 games, do you become even more hesitant to run? Or do you just say that's part of the game and you do a better job of protecting yourself? I don't know, but I think, like, of all the things and all the impact, I think that's the thing that we need to watch for the most. Is CJ is what was kind of holding CJ Stroud back at certain times. Is that going to magnify because you have a concussion? I'm not sitting here saying that that's an easy thing to do. That's not me sitting here saying, well, does he have the heart or anything? No, I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is that that's that's probably a natural thing when you get your bell rung like that a couple of times. And it happens while you're doing something that many people, myself and a lot of people that covered Ohio State, watch Ohio State, were a little bit reluctant thought he was a little bit reluctant to do. Does that increase? So I think that's something to keep an eye on when CJ does come back. If I had to predict when CJ comes back, I would think it would be Buffalo. Now, if they decide to rest him for Buffalo, that would mean that he gets a long ass break from playing. That would mean that he would get damn near 4 weeks. So if they wanted to be extra cautious because of the extended break after the Thursday night game, they could do that if they didn't want to bring him back against Buffalo. So maybe you see Mills 3 games. I would be surprised if CJ plays this Sunday. I would be very surprised by that. Thursday, I could see. But maybe they want to save him for the Colts for the comeback. You never know. Different guys react to different things. Like a lot of times, and I'm not even saying this is right or anything, but whenever players get hurt, a lot of times, like, this guy had a torn ACL. It took him this long to recover. This guy has a high ankle sprain. There's a variance of ways. Concussions are a little bit different. Like it's different for everyone. And a lot of times it's not necessarily in the player's control. It's just based on the protocol, how you're feeling, all that type of stuff. And that is a complex process that a lot of us don't know everything about. As far as a return, CJ Stroud's former Ohio State teammate, Cade Stover, he is back. His activation window is taking place right now. So that means they have 3 weeks to activate him. I don't know if he has a chance to play this week or not. I would think, like, if you're worried about CJ playing 2 games in 5 days, and I don't know if they are, a guy coming off of let's say that Cade Stover's good to go. Maybe you want to kind of try to hold him out this week and bring him back Thursday against Buffalo, because you don't want to ask a guy with a lower body injury to play 2 games in 5 days when he comes back. So that look ahead type of 2 games in 5 day thing that you look at with CJ, I think it makes even more sense with Cade Stover, and he could really use the extended rest. The previously mentioned one against the Colts. So I would say if Cade Stover's good to go right now, I would consider waiting until Buffalo on Thursday night. If he's not, then we'll see him against Indianapolis. I think that's going to be the range of Cade Stover. Ka'imi Fairbairn's still out. I don't anticipate him kicking. Look, Ka'imi Fairbairn gets hurt a lot for a kicker. This was the case before he signed the extension. It was kind of like one of the nobody's talking about type of things with him, but he's out. Fortunately for them, they were able to score in the red zone the other day, and they didn't really need him, but that's something to keep an eye on if they need clutch kicking. I think the real test will come when it's 50 plus, because 50 plus is kind of Ka'imi Fairbairn's strengths. I think from inside and the chip shots, I think you're going to be fine. But a lot of times it almost feels like they take the 50-yard field goals a little bit for granted with Fairbairn. So that would be something to keep an eye on, along with the offensive line shuffle. Outside of that, Dalton Schultz, he has a rest day. I don't anticipate Dalton Schultz practicing on Wednesdays very often. I think it's almost like the veteran day of rest. He's been kind of banged up. And then we'll get a better idea tomorrow, because Wednesday practice reports are kind of eye rolls for a little bit. Evan on Z Chat.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm.
Says, not to skip ahead, what do we need position wise besides a whole new O line? Do we need a new OC, a new GM? What do the Texans need, Landry? Like in the offseason? I would say they definitely need to look at the offensive line. That's a given. They're going to need tight end. They're going to need running backs, probably a few of those. And then they just fill some holes on defense, really. I think it's going to be O-line, tight end, running backs, and then just fill holes. They're probably going to need interior D-line too, because their guys are old and on the final year of their deals. So that's where I would go on the what they need and all that. So that's pretty much it. Join SNL at Spanky's in 2 days. 2 sleeps till Spanky's. We will be there. Homemade dough, homemade sauce, everything that you could possibly ask for in one place. Happy hour starts at 2. We'll be there at 3 to whenever. We'll also be there next Friday after the Buffalo game. So we'll be looking ahead to the 2 games in 5-6 days on Friday. Look forward to seeing you there for the live broadcast. And then we'll be reacting to Buffalo. Like a reaction Friday at Spanky's. Don't threaten me with a good time. Show up to both. We look forward to seeing y'all there. We always have a good time at Spanky's. Let's hear some more from Nick Caley about the offensive line and the shaky start, which, by the way, it's your fault they had the shaky start, buddy. But here's what Nick Caley had to say.
They settled in. I think as the game went on, we got settled in. And I think that there was a lot of good. What I really appreciated was down the stretch, we were able to really settle down, communicate, be more efficient, take care of, being tighter with our run game fundamentals, be cleaner in pass protection. And I think just collectively, the interior part did a great job. But I think that extended to everybody, too. You had Trent out there for the first time at right tackle, too. So there's some new faces. But, again, this was 2 weeks ago or whatever it was when I was asked a question by somebody in here. Like, we do change things up at times like every other place I've been, just in terms of being able to have some flex with those lines so that you're never in a position where – hopefully not in the position where you're the first time a guy's ever playing together is out on a Sunday. You're trying to build those reps throughout the week. So I thought they did a really good job. I thought collectively we got better and cleaner as the game went along. That was the best thing we could have done. And those guys up front really helped make it feel that way even more, I think, when you can settle down the line of scrimmage.
Ain't no one changing it up like this, sir. Like rotating guards and practice squad guys randomly. Let's be serious. We know where you come from. They're not doing those types of things. Look, it's a unique situation because this is probably the crappiest offensive line he's ever worked with. So shuffling around when it's not a good situation, I can understand, but let's be serious about this. You're not this is not like the Rams or the Patriots or anything like that. It's a little bit different situation because of the card that you're dealt. They just took it way too damn far when it came to the City So thing. But he does like overall what he sees from the offensive line, specifically Jared Patterson.
Grit, toughness, strain, finish. Those guys played hard. It's not ever perfect, but they played their tails off, from start to finish, and didn't go the way that we wanted to collectively to start. But they settled in, and there was great communication on the sideline, on the bench, through adjustments and stuff like that. And I just thought they were really, really focused.
Okay, so there you go. Grit, toughness, all that, all the hardo football coach words that Nick Caley has. We'll see what happens with him. I still don't really trust him. I'll just be honest about it. Not a big believer in it. Used to be a believer in Frank Ross. I'll be honest. This has been a rough one for old Frank. He has he's had a tough go of it, and I'm hoping that he figures it out. I don't think it's like necessarily a coaching thing, but when it comes to tackling, even as a good defense, like how good they are on defense, they miss a lot of tackles, and they're able to overcome it on defense more times than not because they have a lot of talent. But on special teams, when the tackling issues bleed into special teams, it's just kind of a tough go for Frank Ross and the special teams and the Texans. So I hope that he can figure that out, because let's just be quite frank. Haha, no pun intended. If they're not going to figure out their special teams issues and they're going to have another performance like the one they had the other day, they're going to lose that game. They're not overcoming what went down on Sunday if that happens again. Like, that performance is not getting overcome. It's just not. So that they have to count their blessings. I agree with him when he said that, that's our tape and we can't just dismiss it. But the reality is, if that happens again, then I don't know whether the season's over or not. Obviously, if you think this is a must win, then you got to handle your business and figure it out. But if that happens again, it's going to be very difficult for them to overcome. You can't have performances like that from special teams. You can't spot the other team, especially when you have your backup quarterback. You can't spot them 14. So he's going to have to figure that out. And the kicking situation is another thing on itself. We really haven't had to ride that ride yet. But we do know what Kaimi Fairbairn is like when he's kicking from long distance and all that. But Frank Ross, his special teams, they're going to have to figure something out, because if they don't, then that's an L. You can't overcome stuff. You can't overcome stuff like that. That's the equivalent of basically a quarterback throwing 4 interceptions, 5 interceptions in a game. When you fumble the ball into the red zone, you give the other team an opportunity, you give up a punt return, you make your defense after their backs are against the wall, you make them stop the other team from getting in the end zone and hold them to a field goal twice after they'd already done it seconds before. That's not going to work out. So they cannot overcome a performance like that. Period. Point blank. End of story. It's not it's not an option. And I think it's a one-off, but I will say special teams from last year to this year, they're not as good as we've been accustomed to Frank Ross special teams looking. So they're gonna have to figure that out, or it's gonna be a damn shame. I mean, it's a damn shame when you're already you go into a game, you know you're starting quarterbacks out, you know your back's against the wall, you know it's a must-win game, and the unit that you're responsible for, we hear all this complimentary football stuff, the unit that you're responsible for is the biggest problem and the reason that the game initially gets out of hand. The comeback wouldn't even been necessary had special teams just put out a decent performance. Not even an elite performance, just a decent performance. The comeback wouldn't have been necessary. But it was because of what we saw from the special teams. So Frank Ross is going to have to figure that out. He's going to have to get it together. And the special teams has just quite frankly got to be better. That's it. But the good news for the day, Nick Caley, he gets to work with his bro again. The Mills and Nick connection, it is alive and well. And I know Nick Caley is very excited about that. We'll see what it looks like. Hopefully it looks the same, and hopefully they keep the light on and they hold down the fort, do some good house sitting for CJ Stroud. But that's where we're at. That's the good news, bad news today at practice. D'Amico Ryan's not there. He was attending a funeral. So D'Amico will be back tomorrow. We'll probably hear from him, hear what he's got to say, and we'll get a better grasp of if what appears to be the case, CJ Stroud not playing, if that's going to be reality. So we'll keep a close eye on that. It's going to be interesting. The other element about this, and I think as a defensive-minded coach like D'Amico Ryans, I know sometimes he takes exception when you say he's a defensive-minded coach. Let's just be honest, he's a defensive-minded coach. It's got to be kind of cool when you know heading into a game that your defense is going to have to step it up. We're going to go on the road to a division rival, and we're going to have to step it up. We've seen him in this similar situation when he went with Case Keenum. Kind of some poetic justice for Davis Mills. He gets to return to the place perhaps where he was passed up. Maybe we see CJ tomorrow, and all this is just it's all good. And when we start talking about what's up with CJ and what CJ is going to look like, but this is kind of some poetic justice. There's just a lot of moving parts. The bottom line is, and what we do know is that they got to win this game. Period. Point blank. End of story. Other thing I know is Texans turf is the best in the game when it comes to getting turf. Just in time for the holidays, get it done. It's the best gift you can give yourself. If you own your home, the value is going to go up. The neighbors are going to be jealous. You're not going to be spending all that time in the yard. There's not going to be all these insects, mud, all that. If you have kids, the dogs and kids absolutely love it. My dog likes to just go outside and lay out on the Texans turf. We like to go out there, get the fire pit going. Shopping for turf is the only bad thing about having it, but I already did it for you. I got you the best in the game. Dan the man, not even a close second. Ask anyone around town in any neighborhood. They'll tell you the same thing. Best price, best service. Trust me, I was a customer before. Go to TexansTurf.com if you want to get in the game. Rick asks, do you think CJ is buckling Caley's authority? No, I don't even know how that would work, my friend. at all. No idea how that would even work. No, I think CJ is in concussion protocol. That is what's going on right now with CJ. Appreciate everyone for rolling through. Download that Sleeper app. Use that promo code LOCKER. Get the free $20. And always remember, when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together. Tomorrow is going to be a banger. We will have a clear idea of if CJ Stroud is or is not going to play. Friday is going to be even better on SNL. We'll be live at Spanky's. Appreciate y'all for rolling through. Always remember, when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together.
We not too plugged in, daily digital on YouTube. We got taste for days, opinions to give, we got takeaways. If it's up, then it's up. We number one. You don't need to try your